Welcome to the Big Play Cleveland Show presented by FanDuel. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Chris McNeil, Nick Padone. Big shout out to our producer, Ryan. Here in studio, guys, it's a little bit hard a weekend for me at the ballpark. I will say that. And we can dive into all the Browns headlines that have been over the weekend and this week for sure. But how was everybody's weekend?
It was good. It was good. It's a good week here. We're starting into high school football. We were talking a little bit about that. Of course, I'm partial to a couple of teams. Go Bishop Rosecrans out of Zanesville and Granville High School out of Granville, Ohio. Good luck to my boys this season. And good luck to all of our area teams as high school football is starting up in the area.
Crazy time. I can't believe that we're already at the end of August. High school football is here. Obviously, I want to see Ryan and my own Nordonga Knights do really well. But, Chris, I do feel like just chatting with you every Monday, I'm pulling for Granville this year.
Let's go, Blue Aces.
Well, guys, I was able to cover. Max Struess had a little basketball camp in Cleveland. It was cool because it was the first of his kind. If we've had him on the show, we talked a little bit about the philanthropic work he's into. But to be honest, he's one of the few professional athletes, period, who is so invested in numerous fundraising opportunities for organizations to give back to the community. He did it in Miami. He does it in Cleveland, Chicago. So this was really cool. This was the first camp he's ever brought to Cleveland. Let's check it out.
We just want to be a light in the community.
Max Struess's basketball camp for kids here in Cleveland at the Cavs practice facility. Let's check it out. One of the things that really stands out is how hands-on you are.
Yeah.
How do you like being so involved?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of guys have camps and kind of don't be around as much. And I think there's a unique ability to just having a camp and being there as much as you can. I think that's why the kids want to be here. They want to see you. They want to be around NBA players. Larry Nance was nice enough to come out here and be around. Makes my day to see the smile on their face and try to teach them some basketball and some life skills.
You and your family foundation, which is comprised of a ton of your family and close friends, have been able to raise over $200,000 over the last 4 years for very specific, it seems like hand-picked causes. Why is that so important?
We just want to give back to those people, those communities that have helped us get acquainted in a new city and kind of made this feel like home. So the fans make us go. The fans are the reason why we do this. And
good stuff from Max Struess. We'll look for the Cavaliers are going to get started here before we know it, guys. Let's get into our Cleveland headlines. Browns heavy. McNeil.
Today's Cleveland headlines are brought to you by Fairway Ford. Fairway Ford offers complete customization for any vehicle on the lot with their Fairway Black Label line. The series featured custom upgrades like premium wheel and tire packages, a wide variety of level or lift kits, performance enhancements, and fully customized interior options. And every Fairway Black Label truck comes with a Rhino spray and bed liner. Whether you're looking for an aggressive off-road stance, a bold street presence, or a one-of-a-kind build, Fairway Black Label delivers. As a bonus, many of these upgrades can be financed for as little as 0% APR, depending upon the vehicle line. If you dream it, they can build it. Visit fairwayfordohio.com to explore their current Black Label inventory or give them a call to start designing yours today.
All right, gang, Browns preseason game, Browns 22, Eagles 13. Who impressed, who disappointed? What were your main takeaways?
Hey, Dylan Gabriel, just like we talked about Shadir Sanders last week, Dylan Gabriel this week was able to get us in and out of offensive sets, looked pretty good, looked like a rookie at times. We saw that interception, which wasn't entirely on him, but what we saw was competent quarterback play. And I know here being in Cleveland, that's something that we've been missing quite a bit, more often than not. And to see a rookie go out there and really take the reins and do a nice job. That was the number one takeaway for me from this game.
I have been encouraged by the offense. It does look competent. That's the word to use. And ultimately, I think we did maybe a little bit too much congratulating and too much patting on the back of Dylan Gabriel. This is a rookie quarterback that turned the football over twice, and all of those turnovers led to Philadelphia Eagle points. But he was able to move the ball, move the sticks. It was a bit of a boring performance, but that was the same kind of quarterback that he was during his time at Oregon with the Ducks. Like, you just lean on your skill position guys, you move the ball, you make the throws, and keep the sticks moving. So ultimately, I thought it was a good showing for Dylan Gabriel in this Browns offense, but it's all steam ahead this week as the Browns are going to name their starting quarterback. I believe it to be on Tuesday, and I'm anticipating that that's going to be Joe Flacco, guys.
What do we make of that quote out of Dylan Gabriel? Anything? I mean, I feel like we just always have something with the media.
You know, I kind of did think that it was a shot at Shadir Sanders. Being in this field long enough and covering so many press conferences and as so many interviews and, you know, interviews that we've had on this show, like, I know when a quote is delivered that's about to go viral. And right when he said it, the little cartoon light bulb went over my head. And I was like, that's going to go nuts on the internet. And surely enough, 15 minutes later, it went nuts on the internet. I do think as a young quarterback, that's a learning moment. What to say, what not to. Whether it was a shot at the Cleveland media, whether it was a shot at Shedeur Sanders, I would like to think that it wasn't a shot at Shedeur. I would like to think that Dillon Gabriel's a smarter guy than to take a shot at his teammate like that. But I do think the entire thing got overblown, and it's a good learning moment of what not to say when that microphone's in front of you.
And I don't make that much out of it. I think you're looking at a team right now where nationally people don't even realize that Dillon Gabriel's on this roster. Everybody's been talking about Shedeur Sanders the entire time. So this is a guy who's trying to say, hey, I had my opportunity today, played pretty well, and here's who I am. I'm a competitor. I'm not the entertainer guy. I'm not the guy you're going to hear a lot about off the field. I'm not going to be giving you a whole lot of quotes, although ironically he did give us one there. But you're going to see it on the field, and that's really where he was pushing, I think, more than anything else. Whether he was talking about Shedeur, which I kind of think he was, or whether, like he's framed it later, he was talking about the media, he was ultimately saying, hey, here's who I am, by the way. Here's what I bring to the table. I'm a little bit different than Shedeur, but I can also play. And as a rookie, he did. He looked pretty good.
And I maintain the Browns signed themselves up for this mess. I mean, if they don't want him taking shots at Shedeur, taking shots at the media, then stop the madness of this four-man quarterback competition where we've got more questions than we do answers. Dillon Gabriel has always been the other guy since he was drafted 94 overall. 50 slots later, they select Shedeur Sanders at 144, and it was bring on the Shedeur Sanders show. Dillon Gabriel's there too, and between them, Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco will name a starting quarterback out of this thing. The Browns signed these kids up for this, so a small piece of me actually does feel bad for Dillon Gabriel, even though he's the guy that said it. He's the third-round pick that has had the opportunity with the ones, and he's been given a lot more opportunity than Shedeur Sanders has. They have kind of set up all of these kids for failure in their own respective ways, but that's just what the Browns do.
And also set up an awful nice show that they produce now that came out last week where they're actually in-house going to produce a net series that features this competition of all the quarterbacks. So not only do they enjoy the drama, it seems, but they're doubling down by making some money off of it as well, Nick. So yeah, a guy like Dillon kind of saying who he was, I didn't have as much of a problem as I think a lot of people did.
Right before we started filming, guys, I got an email that the Browns have signed wide receiver Isaiah Bond. And he's an undrafted rookie out of Texas, 5'11", 180. This comes after he's no longer, the prosecutors aren't pursuing charges on that sexual assault case, notoriously one of the hardest crimes to prove in the court of law. What are your thoughts on the Browns adding the Texas rookie?
Well, I put out there on Twitter that Andrew Berry, his basic philosophy is give me your accused, your alleged, your recently dropped charges, yearning to breathe free. And this is yet another one of those, Nick, this week. But this is a guy who was looked at as potentially maybe a third rounder. He's a real speedster out of Texas. Kind of reminds me a little bit, and for those older fans like myself, reminds me a little bit of Eric Metcalf. Now, hopefully we won't be running him between the tackles like Bill Belichick did back in the day. But if this guy, and it looks like with guaranteed money and everything, it looks like he's going to be on the final roster for the Cleveland Browns. He could be somebody who could help in that wide receiver room that we've talked about quite a bit here, Nick. Needs a lot of help.
Well, that's the story, right? 3-year, $3 million, fully guaranteed contract. You're looking at how this initial 53-man roster is going to take shape, and the receiver room was one to look at where you've got guys like Larvidan, who's had an awesome preseason, and Deontay Johnson, who flashed early in camp and hasn't done much since. Like that, all those jobs are in jeopardy now because with guaranteed cash at play, I have to imagine Isaiah Bond is just about a lock to make this Browns roster. And they've struggled, in the Andrew Berry era to identify, draft, and develop that wide receiver position. They've tried with guys like David Bell, Cedric Tillman. I'm curious to see how Isaiah Bond is going to work on the field. I mean, you are a rookie. You've missed all of rookie camp. You missed all of training camp pretty much. I have to imagine he'll be a game day inactive for the first couple of weeks. So I'm tampering expectations. I don't think it's going to be full steam ahead because they're going to have to get this poor kid the playbook and try to get him up to speed with how to be a football player in the National Football League before we can expect much more out of him this season,
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Lake Spur Marketing, connecting your brand to the right customers. Visit lakespurmarketing.com today.
Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It is time for our Garage Beer featured interview. Garage Beer is the perfect beer for any occasion. It's small batch, no frills, no bitterness. It's just beer that tastes like beer. The Garage is always open with Garage Beer. And now we welcome on a very special guest and friend of show, John Fanta, broadcaster for Fox College Hoops and NBC Sports. Thanks for joining us.
It is great to be with you guys. No shortage of headlines in Cleveland sports, that is for certain.
You know, John, we wanted to hit you with the hard questions right off the rip here. Would you consider yourself more of an entertainer or a competitor?
Well, definitely not a competitor, because I don't know how many ball games I would win, that's for sure. Because I tried to compete. I was a pitcher in baseball, actually halfway decent until, you actually have to throw a fastball, and then now those days ended. Okay in basketball, but the whole fast break points thing didn't really work for me. And as a left guard in football, well, that those chapters ended quicker than they lasted. But I will say I'll vote entertainer all of the way. Yeah, that was pretty interesting on Saturday afternoon. It just can never be sort of calm and cool and quiet when you associate just about anything with the Cleveland Browns.
So let's talk about those Browns. How are you feeling about the Browns heading into the season?
You know what? I actually think I'm more optimistic than I was a month ago. I think that for people to say that this football team is only good enough to win 3 or 4 games, I don't think that that's acceptable. And I don't think that that's going to keep people employed. And I think that that's also interesting, McNeil, from the standpoint of Kevin Stefanski is trying to keep his job. And he is a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. He's probably had about as strange of a career arc to this point as a head coach that you could imagine, because he's literally gone from one end of the spectrum to the other. And then within that, people don't know whether to blame him fully or not. I would say I wouldn't blame him fully for any of the things that have gone wrong for him, but he's still the head coach. It's his job, and you're going to get blamed. But I think when you watch the Browns, and they are preseason games, but it's the first thing that jumps out is, wow, Kevin Stefanski's offense looks a lot different when Kevin Stefanski is the operator and the guy behind it and the guy that's calling the plays. And, there's not as many illegal shifts and illegal motions. Now, we'll see what happens week 1. But all of this is explaining why, for me, that defense, how could you possibly judge that defense last year? They were on the field for 75% of the game. Carson Schwessinger, I think, has been one of the biggest camp winners. He's been all over the field. In that first preseason game, he was all over the field, multiple tackles. And I got to think Mason Graham is going to, at the very least, be solid. So the point is, if that secondary hangs in, that defense is solid to maybe good if they have any competence on the other side of the football. You couldn't judge anything with this football team last year because the guy that they started at quarterback was an embarrassment to the sport in multiple ways. This year, they're going to have a better idea of who they are because of the fact that they're going back to what has allowed them to make postseason pushes. I'm not at all saying that this is a postseason team, but I can tell you this much, McNeil. It's why Joe Flacco is going to start week 1 because Stefanski knows he needs that game. He needs that game to show everybody, I still got it. I still can get this done.
John, we're anticipating the announcement of that week 1 starting quarterback. I think everybody in Cleveland kind of understands at this point that it will be Joe Flacco. He's going to give the team the best chance to win week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. With how difficult this schedule seems to start, just how big of a deal do you think that week 1 game will be with Flacco at the helm?
It's a must win. They need to go out and win this game. They match up well with the Bengals. Their defense has had success against Joe Burrow because for whatever reason, Zach Taylor and the Bengals up until this point have not doubled Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett has feasted on the Cincinnati Bengals. Also, the Bengals have had plenty of offseason drama. The juju around Cincinnati is not good, guys. You have this generational talent at quarterback, and frankly, the ownership there and the people that run that franchise, I don't think have fully capitalized on that opportunity, which is like, man, why can't we get that lucky? It's to find a Joe Burrow, and then we know that the people would spend money. I don't know, they haven't spent it smartly, but we know that they have the money in Cleveland. That's one thing you cannot deny, to spend on other players and spend on other talents. So I think it's a must-win game. Let's face it. You're not going into Baltimore week 2 and beating that team. If you do, it'd be the shocker of all shockers in the league. I just think that in the NFL, yes, anything can happen, but the Browns are going to be an underdog by at least a touchdown in that football game, I would imagine. In week 1, you're going to have the crowd on your side. You're going to have a guy in Joe Flacco who's going to be prepared. You have a guy in Kevin Stefanski. What is Kevin Stefanski a master of? Opening drives. Yeah. He's been thinking about this opening drive for the last 6 months. And the Browns 2 years ago shut down the Bengals offense, made their life a living hell for 3 hours. And it's not going to be the same, but like if you go back and watch that game, I don't know about you guys, but I know Nick Chubb was in a different place, but Deshaun Watson didn't do much to win the Browns that game by the amount that they won the game by. The Browns match up well with the Bengals. They have now for several years. They need to go out and make a statement and show people that they are not going to be in the basement. It's a very, very important game. And let's just say Cincinnati wins the game 27-24. Yeah, would it be a gut punch? But I think what I'm looking for in week 1 is there reason to believe that there's talent on this roster to be in games and have a chance in games and have a chance to get between 7 and 9 or 10 wins. Because that's what it's going to take, I feel, for this head coach to keep his job. And I still think he's a good football coach. But now you got to put it together. The urgency's got to be high. And that's why, to all the people who are saying the Browns are going to tank, they're not in that mode. They don't have a first-year head coach and a bunch of first-year people. They have people that have been around the block for several years.
Now, John, I know some variables will have to be evaluated and such, and we'll have to see how they do week 1 and beyond. But who do you think will be the starting quarterback to finish the season or late down the stretch? Or who do you want it to be?
Well, I want it to be somebody that is going to help them win games down the stretch. And presumably, like, this is what no one seems to be talking about, because I don't think anyone's ever put the hypothetical out. But, like, I'm just floating it out there, guys. What happens if this team wins week 1, they lose week 2, and they host the Packers week 3, and they have the home field and Green Bay's out of sorts for whatever reason, and they somehow win the game? Maybe Green Bay's a tad overrated. Who knows? It is a home game, and maybe Joe's got something going.
Yeah.
Well, then I want the starting quarterback to be Joe Flacco, and I want the Browns to be in the picture where they're fighting for something. Yeah. And is that convenient? Is that convenient for the long term? No, I'm looking at things in a box. Yeah. I am. Let's just say that this team is what a lot of people say, and they're going to be 2-4 at best. And, things are trending in the wrong direction, and they're 3-6. Well, then I want the starting quarterback to be Shedeur Sanders. It's nothing against Dillon Gabriel. I think Dillon Gabriel is probably going to be a fine backup in the NFL. And maybe he'll prove us all wrong and be a franchise quarterback. Honestly, I was encouraged by his performance on Saturday up until the interception. And that's part of the performance. You can't turn the football over. And those 2 blemishes are what they are. They're brutal in a football game. They would be brutal in a regular season game. They would cost your team the game in all likelihood. I just don't trust that Dillon's size is going to lend itself to him having a long NFL starting career. Again, I hope I'm dead wrong because I do like the way he throws the football. I just think that when you think about it this way, if the Browns are out of the picture, I want it to be Shedeur Sanders, because you can't tell me for 7 months that draft evaluators who had this kid in the top 5 of the draft, and then he drops the 5th round, Those people get paid to do this for a living every single day. There was a reason why they had him in that zone, why they had him in that upper echelon of players in this draft class. He obviously bombed his interviews, and he obviously had a terrible pre-draft process. And his dad plays a part in all this, although I would say that Shedeur has handled himself very maturely in all this preseason process. I am not, like, make no mistake, my answer is always going to be whoever gives the Browns the best chance to win both in the now and in the long term. But if they're not going to be a team that's in contention, I want to get to January and have some sort of an answer on whether these two rookies, one of them, could be an answer for them in 2026 and beyond. That is the goal.
Putting a gun to your head right now, John Fanta. How many wins for the Cleveland Browns this upcoming season?
I think they're going to win 5 games.
Oh, right at the over-under.
And maybe 6.
Okay.
Maybe 6. They're going to have to pick somebody off. They're going to have to do something. I think that they could beat the Patriots. I think that they could beat the Jets. I think that they could beat the Raiders. I think they can win week 1. That's 4 right there. I think that they could beat the Steelers. I think the Steelers could end up going to the bottom.
Oh, from your lips to God's ears.
So one big thing here. Allow me to rant.
Go
for a moment. What is going on with people who think that the Steelers thing is going to work with Aaron Rodgers? He's washed. It's over. He belongs in a nursing home. And to the same people who think that the Browns then stink, the Browns roster isn't that much worse than the Steelers. The last time I checked, they still have a defensive player of the year in Myles Garrett and still have a unit on the defensive end of the football that when given the chance, when given the time in the game, can be lethal. The Pittsburgh Steelers, what is your plan? You know what I would do to have like Mike Tomlin? I have immense amount of respect for Mike Tomlin. I do. Although, last time I checked, the Browns more recently won a playoff game.
Right.
The people who think that this Rodgers thing is going to work out, that is ludicrous. It is not going to work out. We all know how this is going to end. And I can't believe that they married themselves in a really crucial season to him. If you're the Browns and you ever did that, if you did that with Rodgers, to me, the Flacco situation is better than Rodgers. And oh, by the way, I actually think we've kind of lost. No one's excited about Flacco, but why aren't you? Because what happens if we all know McNeil and crew. Week 1, he goes out there and slings it, a la 18 months ago? Like, it wasn't that long ago that he was doing it for the Browns. The fever's going to return. And then, that's the best case in my opinion. I know a lot of people are like, no, the best case is you find out about the rookie. Well, I want to find out about the rookies, but I also want to have fun as a fan for a little bit too. Yeah. And if Flacco goes out there and delivers, you're going to start to say, 1, this is what Stefanski can do. 2, why not? Why not us? We have a competent quarterback. He sometimes makes mistakes. Other quarterbacks make mistakes and their teams are decent. He gives you a chance. He makes your receivers better. And I went to training camp a day. I saw Flacco from 2 years ago with a coach who knows how to use him in a system that sets up receivers to get open, and then they got to make the catch. I think David Njoku is going to be right back being one of Joe's favorite guys. They're going to be connecting. So my point is the Browns if this gets back to anything like 2 years ago, they're going to be in football games, and they're going to win 5 or 6 games.
John Fanta. Bringing it, baby.
Fabulous.
John, thank you so much for joining us, giving us all your enthusiasm.
Thank you, guys. Last but not least, the Guardians,
we were going to ask you about this.
No matter how many times people take a gun or whatever the weapon is and try to say their season is over, they're dead, I'm gonna vow right now, I fully believe they're going to get to the last 2 weeks of the season and be 2 games or less out of a playoff spot. So by definition, that means you are not dead.
Thank you for saying that. We needed that. Well, I personally needed a little bit of
That's
those
the hottest take we're going to hear
healing
today.
words from John Fanta.
They're not dead. They are the Undertaker meme over and over and over
Let's
again.
freaking go. That's the one that's getting reposted, and I'm here for it. We're riding it out with that, John. Thank you so much for joining us, bringing your passion and energy as always. That 5 and 6 hours of sleep you're getting as a new dad is enough to keep you sustained, and we're happy to see that.
I'm already teaching my son.
Hey, a belated congratulations to you and your wife, by the way. Baby Andrew is so cute. We'll be keeping up with you this season, and we'll tap you for more hot takes later on. Thanks so much, John Fanta, for joining us. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Garage Beer. No bitterness, no frills, no IPA, just beer-flavored beer. Find local retailers who sell garage beer near you by visiting drinkgaragebeer.com. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. We've got our Fill in the Blank segment brought to you by our friends at Pure AV. Football season just around the corner, and Pure AV has everything you need to get your man cave ready with high-performance audio and video displays. If you're worried about keeping a clean interior, they offer hidden audio and video options that allow you to keep that elegant look without sacrificing your favorite technology. Pure AV can set you up with invisible architectural speakers that are hidden in your walls and ceilings, as well as disappearing TVs that vanish behind art or mirrors. The guys over at Pure AV are constantly repairing or finishing other AV companies' botched jobs, so why not call them first to eliminate that hassle and headache? Visit pureavcorp.com to see everything they offer for your home. Okay, guys, we didn't talk a ton of Guardians, but I give the Guardians a blank % chance of making the playoffs this season.
I'll tell you what, I went to the game on Saturday, and over the weekend, there were over 100,000 people that were there for the complete series against the Braves. And the energy was fantastic from the crowd. The energy from the team, though, was not there at all. I mean, here we were there to honor Tom Hamilton on Saturday. It was really nice, the ceremony. They put him into the Hall of Fame. Very well deserved. The crowd was into it. Everybody was kind of pumped. The weather was beautiful, and then the team gets blown out. So it's very frustrating right now. So right now, I give them about a 10% chance. I think they're going to stick around for a while, but I don't think this team is going anywhere.
I mean, ESPN.com right now has their playoff chances at 14.9%. So below 15% chance for this team to make the postseason. Obviously, at the time that we're recording this, they're 3.5 games behind the Yankees for that final wild card spot. The division is just about wrapped up in the American League Central with Detroit. I gotta say it's higher than 15%, though. Like, we have seen this organization
taking the under,
fight
Nick.
back time and again. Like, I'd put it around like 25%. Like, still not a great shot. The season is probably over. They've effectively bridged the gap to Brown season, which is about what they're good for. But I gotta say that it's gotta be higher than 14% in this American League with this team. Like, come on, at least give me 25%.
I'm with you there, Nick. How about the custom bats, accessories, and jersey names for MLB Players Weekend? We had some really funny ones. I don't know if you saw Kwan's face on his belt.
That was the first one I saw. That was hilarious.
Oh, these were great. I enjoyed them. What did you guys think?
And Hedges with the Zin Can bat.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. So the guys are having a lot of fun with it. He showed a little bit of their personality out there. And I always think these are a neat weekend. Kind of breaks up what can be a very long season for baseball, and also gives the players a chance to, everybody gets to know them a little bit more.
I wish the NBA would get back to leaning into the nickname jerseys. You know, that was a big thing when LeBron would do King James on the back during his time with the Heat. I wish more sports would lean into this. Like, it all kind of originated in the NBA, and then they completely walked away from it, and I don't really know why.
Assuming Joe Flacco is named the starter, he should blank against the Rams this Saturday.
I don't know. You just got to dust off the old man a little bit, put him out there for a series, make sure you can still get in and out of the offense, throw the ball around. You don't need to see much more of that. Maybe a start, maybe a series, and that's about it.
I'm almost saying, like, let's just keep the guy in bubble wrap.
Yeah.
You look at like, I mean, Gabriel and Shador, while they both showed you signs, they also both showed you that they are kind of project developmental QBs. And then Kenny Pickett, we haven't gotten to see much of because of that nagging hamstring injury. So if Joe Flacco isn't healthy, I've got some real concerns about the Browns and their 100 QBs that they have on this roster. So let's keep the old man upright and ready to go September 7th. We saw last time we had to dust him off the couch with no real ramp-up period.
Nick, I saw you tweeted something about this, but the Browns trading for Trey Hendrickson would be.
I mean, our friend of show, Jordan Schultz, put it out there that the Browns, Panthers, and Indianapolis Colts are 3 teams calling the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, we've never seen a Browns and Bengals trade before. Obviously, they're here in the AFC North with us and here in the state of Ohio. It'd be cinema, though, wouldn't it be? Myles Garrett, Mason Graham, Mike Hall Jr., Trey Hendrickson. That's one of the best defensive lines, not just in the NFL right now, but in the history of football. You think about what that line would be able to do to opposing offenses. It'd be almost a little funny, though, to add on the defensive side of the football while the offense has this many questions.
Yeah, that's true.
I doubt that this happens, but the fact that the Browns are interested just goes to show you Haslams are still willing to spend money. They want to be a winner. And the Cincinnati Bengals right now can't say the same because that's why Trey Hendrickson's available in the first place.
They got to keep that fax machine on in Berea. Be ready to make that trade with the Bengals, right?
Of all the Browns' current quarterbacks, blank will be on the roster week 1 of the 2026 season.
I think it's going to be Deshaun. I think it's going to be Flacco, Shadur, and Gabriel. I think they're going to find a way to get rid of Kenny Pickett. I think they're going to trade him. I think some team is going to have some quarterback go down, and they're going to have a need, and we'll move him at that point.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this pans out even just this week here, Chris, because the Rams are a team to watch as Matt Stafford hasn't even practiced, and Stetson Bennett's balled out for them in a couple preseason games. Jimmy Garoppolo is the backup quarterback who would start if Stafford can't go, but we know he's made out of glass, so maybe they could come calling for Kenny Pickett. Right now, though, how could you come calling? You haven't seen the guy because he's got a hamstring injury. So I would say right now, I think the Browns are going to keep all 4 of Flacco, Gabriel, Pickett, and Sanders, at least to start week 1 with Deshaun Watson not able to suit up. But they're going to have to make something shake at some point when he's medically cleared.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Pure AV, luxury home automation. Experience your dream smart home by visiting pureavcorp.com.
Welcome back into the Big Play Cleveland Show. It's Nick Padone for my friends at Northeast Factory Direct. Whether you're remodeling your kitchen, updating your furniture, freshening up your patio, or just looking for a new mattress, Northeast Factory Direct is the place for you. There's no fancy showrooms. There's no high-pressure salespeople. It is just great quality products at unbelievable prices, and it gets even better for our listeners. Just hit the link in our show clips that we put out on Twitter every single week and fill out what you're looking for, and we'll hook you up with a Big Play discount. Visit them today in Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, or North Canton. Ask for that Big Play bonus. They'll hook you up with the discount in store, and as always, check them out online, northeastfactorydirect.com. It is time for Bringing the Heat with our guy, Jensen Lewis. Jensen, what happened in that Braves series?
Anything that could have gone wrong went wrong, but guys, credit where it's due, right? This Braves offense was about as hot as it could get coming into the series. So you had that going against you. Michael Harris II, most hits in Major League Baseball since the All-Star break. So timely hitting, runners in scoring position. The loss, though, on Sunday particularly is going to sting just because you had the multi-run lead that you did. For the life of me, guys, I still can't figure out why Stephen Kwan would bunt in that situation. I mean, for someone who has such great and elite bat-to-ball skills, you want him swinging away. You of all people, outside of Jose Ramirez, you don't want Stephen Kwan giving himself up. But here we are. So now as critical a West Coast swing as it gets with Arizona. And a Texas team, guys, we've said it a lot the last couple of weeks. Sometimes it's about when you're playing certain clubs. Maybe catching Texas at a good point here where they've really been a listless ship the last couple of weeks. So again, real imperative to get back on the right side early this week and also through the weekend.
Jensen, what's going on with Slade Ciccone? Felt like at one point just a couple weeks ago, this was the guy that we could trust the most in the Guardians starting rotation. Last 2 outings have been brutal, though.
A lot of mistakes out over the big part of the plate. Nick, not reinvent the wheel here. You always go and kind of see if the pitch was executed where he wanted to, and if not, was it elevated in the zone? And there's a lot of that too. I think the league is also starting to make a few adjustments here. Remember, still relatively young kid in his first tour of duty around some of these clubs, seeing him first, maybe second time. So the book is definitely, I think, getting out on him a little bit more, but comes down to being able to execute your pitches in the right spots. And I think that's just something he's got to get back to.
Jensen, how about the defense? Let's talk about this. They're third most errors in the MLB. Is there a simple fix to this? Do you think any of this could be attributed to the fact that we've got guys playing multiple positions?
It could be, Gab. And what stinks is that, this point in the season, you'd rather have those error streaks or that inconsistency from the defensive side be in April and May, still quote unquote working the kinks out. But boy, of all the times for it to surface, and especially at home, where you feel that, as long as you can pick the ball and be able to hit with runners in scoring position, the back end of the bullpen should be able to get some wins across the line. And, hey, you get 5 straight series wins. And then, as I said, it felt like everything that could go wrong went wrong in that Atlanta series. So overall, have to be able to pick it back up, throw the leather out there, and be able to be a lot better this road trip.
So, Jensen, the sabermetrics nerds out there will probably kill me for this question, but right now the Cleveland Guardians have the worst team batting average in the league. How much stock do you still put in team batting average, and what does that say to you about where this team's at?
Yeah, and honestly, Chris, I can understand, where people would say, okay, well, it doesn't mean anything anymore. All right, well, let's go to one of the statistics that means a lot, and that would be, OPS. They're 28th in OPS, so obviously not much better. I think what's stark, guys, and this is easy to look at from last year to this year, they just have not been able to slug. They have not been able to hit, and get into extra base scenarios. They have not been able to hit the ball out of the ballpark, bottom third in home runs all year long. So when you're not able to hit the ball out of the ballpark the way that they were able to last year, they were able to overcome some of the inefficiencies of that starting rotation. When you had an elite bullpen like they did, it was basically get the lead after 5, and that was ball game. So much different scenario that they've had to encounter for most of 2025.
Jensen, what do you make of Stephen Vogt this year in his sophomore year? How do you evaluate that? He's gone through some bumps. Last year, obviously, a great year. This year, he's had some criticism from the fans. What are your thoughts on Stephen Vogt?
Right. Different scenarios present. And now you kind of see where, even managers that have been around 5, 6, 10 years are like, we see something new every day. And I think a crash course, too, in maybe some of those spots where, you don't have a back end of the bullpen that is basically lights out. So that's a different way to manage late game scenarios. We've talked about it, guys, the last couple of weeks. Kyle Manzardo, a perfect example. When you have bats that are going well, let's try and get away from this whole, lefties can only hit righties and, vice versa. When your guys are rolling and you see the good championship teams year in and year out, like the Philadelphia Phillies really don't change their lineup. Kyle Schwarber hits left on left. There might be a day where you get him off because he's probably played, 10 or 11 games in a row. Like there's a different way to load manage it. You guys see that with Jose Ramirez, right? He gets off his feet and he DHs once, maybe twice a week. So, when you look at the competitive clubs year in and year out that are at that higher echelon of being in those conversations of being a contender every single year, it's pretty much the same 1 through 9 most days. And if there are subtle changes, then it's very few and far between.
Alrighty, it is time for our Northeast Factory direct question of the week for our guy, Jensen Lewis. Jensen, some of the kids on the Twitter streets calling the Guardians AL Central merchants as they're 22-13 versus the Central, 41-47 versus everybody else. What should we make of that?
Listen, the goal, right, is to win the division every year because that gets you at least a top 3 seed and an opportunity to have home field advantage. So more power to them. If the division stinks, fine, pile up the wins. No one's feeling sorry for the Colorado Rockies in the West. When you look at the Dodgers and the Padres and, those other West teams that are trying to beat up on the bad teams. So absolutely take advantage while you can. The White Sox, guys, drastically improved from last year. The Twins, we'll kind of see what they look like heading into next year with the reduction in payroll likely imminent. But when you can win division games, stack them up. And that's the goal every single year. Number one, win that division so you can at least guarantee yourself that home initial playoff series.
He is VSiN by the Books co-host Jensen Lewis. Go show him some love on social at JLew50. And we'll be back with Bringing the Heat next week right here on the Big Play Cleveland Show. Thanks, Jensen.
Thanks, guys.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, the lowest pricing, and same hometown level of service. Visit fairwayfordohio.com today. Welcome back to Big Play Cleveland. The Smart Choice segment is brought to you by Smart Choice Windows. Smart Choice Windows is the place to go when you need to upgrade your home. And right now they're running some awesome promotions like buy 2 windows, get 2 free, $1,500 off whole home siding, $500 off entry door installation. Plus, they do offer great financing with no money down, no interest until 2027. So if you're ready for quieter, more energy efficient windows, give them a call at 844-GET-SMART or head over to smartchoicewindows.com to schedule your free, no pressure estimate today, and be sure to ask about that big play bonus to get an additional 10% off all promotions. All right, here's the deal. We've got the scenario. You tell me the smart choice. The NBA announced Rivals Week for the upcoming season, and the Cavs rivalry game is against the Hornets.
Hornets.
Which I don't know. We can get your thoughts on that just in general. But if you had to pick a team for the Cavs to play in a rivalry game, the smart choice is.
The NBA is such a prisoner of the moment when it comes to your rivals. I mean, I go back to the days of Michael Jordan. I thought of Chicago versus Cleveland as being a rivalry. Now, of course, Chicago didn't think of it that way, but we in Cleveland certainly did with the shot and everything that ensued after that. Then later on, of course, with the LeBron years, you had Golden State. Nowadays, it almost seems like it naturally. You've got New York there. You've also got Indiana after what happened last year, and also the geographic closeness of them. That could be a budding rivalry potentially. But Charlotte, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Like Lonzo Ball versus
there's a connection.
LaMelo Ball. There's the rivalry
The ball
right there.
connection, right?
Yeah, I think it's got to be New York, Indy, one of these Eastern Conference teams that are going to be contending for a playoff spot. I mean, heck, maybe even Orlando. Like, who is the Magic's rival in the NBA right now? Even if you've got to manufacture something up for this rivalry week, I think you got to give the Cavs something better than brothers in the backcourt facing off against each other.
The Cavs got 24 nationally televised games. That Christmas game we talked about, are they finally getting some respect nationally?
Well, I mean, they got respect last year. They had the Defensive Player of the Year. They had the Coach of the Year. You know, and they did so much legwork trying to drum up Evan for DPOY and Kenny for Head Coach of the Year. Like, you guys have got your respect nationally that you were searching for, but now it's time to prove that you actually deserve that in the first place. Because if you're a flash in the pan and you're another second round out again, I mean, say goodbye to all of this, all of the awards, 24 nationally televised games. Like, you've got your respect, but now you've got to back it up on the other end.
Fast forward to the playoffs. That's going to be a theme all season long with this team. Sure, we're going to get some, the national guys are going to be interested in what we're doing on the regular season. But for us, it's all about the playoffs. So just get me there, Nick.
If you had to pick the 3 best sports days of the year, the smart choice is.
Well, I always have loved baseball's opening day. That's the beginning of spring. Everything's changing. Yeah. I mean, that's always going to go down. Final Four, I like the Thursday. A lot of people say they love the Saturday. I like that Thursday. You take off work, you watch basketball all day. You know you got Friday coming up after that, then a fantastic
And Chris, that
weekend.
one's similar to that, like, that if you've made it to the first day, the first Thursday of March Madness, it's like winter's over. We've seen it through.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's another one. Changing the season. Staying on that theme, give me the Masters. I love the Masters. Thursday, give me Masters Sunday. Always the best. And then the last, going to the fall, Ohio State, Michigan. I'm down there living in Columbus. I went to Ohio State. That day is always going to be special.
Yeah, Ohio State, Michigan is a good one. I'm going to go with, I agree with you, the first day of March Madness. I know the Final Four, leave all of that Thursday. The first Thursday of the action is one of my favorite. Also, another Thursday, the NFL Draft, where, our Super Bowl takes place. And then I'll give you guys Ohio State, Michigan, and this year's is going to be magnified as it's a huge game for our Buckeyes this season.
All right, that Smart Choice segment also brought to you by Smart Choice Baths. If your bathroom needs an update, the team over at Smart Choice Baths has you covered. Whether you're looking to replace your shower or do a whole bathroom remodel, Smart Choice can offer you the quality and expertise you'll need to make that experience an enjoyable one. They offer custom designs tailored to your style and needs and have safe, accessible solutions with their walk-in options. No matter what you need, they've got you covered, and right now they're offering $1,250 off all bathroom projects plus a free luxury upgrade. It gets even better with their low monthly payments starting at just $199 a month or 0% financing for 24 months. So be sure to check them out. It's smartchoicebaths.com. Give them a call at 844-GET-SMART and you can set up that free estimate today. Don't forget to mention that big play bonus to receive an additional 10% off with all promotions. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Smart Choice Windows, energy-efficient products at an affordable price. Visit smartchoicewindows.com today.
It is time for our weekly check-in with a NASCAR Cup driver for the number 10 Colleague Racing Chevy, Ty Dillon. Ty drives for Northeast Ohio's own Matt Colleague, who fields 2 teams in the NASCAR Cup Series. What's going on, Ty?
What's going on, guys? Glad to be back in.
All right, so before we jump into NASCAR stuff with you, the Browns as well as your Carolina Panthers are listed as teams to watch, teams interested in Trey Hendrickson. Obviously, that's of interest to us here in the state of Ohio. Our guys on the Enter the Jungle Bengals show on the Big Play Network would certainly cringe a little bit about the idea of Trey Hendrickson coming up 71 to play for the Browns, but I know you got to be pretty hopeful that the Panthers could find a way to make this thing happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what we have as far as compensation outside of draft picks to send over to the Bengals, but boy, he would really help out our defense and I think take our team to a real, possible fringe playoff team, which would be awesome. And I love his play style, so it'd be pretty cool. I'm interested to see what the talks with the Browns were like. Just thinking about them in division right up the road there would be quite crazy.
It really would be. And I have to imagine like the Bengals would probably prefer to trade him to you guys in the NFC. Even, Indianapolis was another team that was mentioned in this whole thing. I think it's realistic for the Panthers, dude. Like, Trey Hendrickson's about to turn 30. I know they're looking for a first-round pick and an impact player and all this stuff, but you're talking about an edge rusher that's 30 already, and you're going to have to extend them. Like, they might not be getting as much as they think for Trey Hendrickson. I could see it happening. I could see him being a Panther.
Yeah, certainly. I don't think he's worth a first-rounder at 30, and I think that's a little far-fetched, but, I think a third rounder is fair, and we got some guys on the defense that are solid players that I think we'd be willing to give up. So hopefully we can get a deal. That would be awesome. That'd be a good boost for the Panthers fans.
For sure, and it would let you come on here and troll our Cincinnati Bengal fans that tune in to the Big Play Cleveland Show every week just to keep a finger pulse on what we got going on up here for our Browns. Let's talk about you. Really fast weekend at Richmond Raceway. What was working for you guys? Definitely seemed like a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, we unloaded with a lot of speed and a really good race car. Our Seabest Camaro was really strong. Richmond's a track that I really enjoy going to. I feel like I have a good feel for what the car needs to be there. And really from lap 1 on the track, we were really solid. I think we were 6th or 7th in practice and qualified 16th. And, even the start of the race, we were going forward. I think we were like 13th or 14th. Kind of racing side by side with my brother and coming down for the first green flag pit stop. Your pit crew is only allowed to jump over the wall when the car's 3 pit stalls away from you. Well, we jumped over too soon, and there's a penalty for that, and that is to come down pit road again, which adds pretty much another lap and a half, sometimes 2 laps to the field. So we were able to fight back and finish 20th. Obviously, it wasn't really the finish we wanted, but I think if we execute that day solid, we're competing inside the top 10, top 7. My brother ended up winning the race. So we were side by side with him when that happened. So, sometimes it's just about the execution. We missed it a little bit this past weekend, but overall the speed of the car was able to dig us out of having too bad of a finish. And we'll move on to Daytona and try to get ourselves into the playoffs in the last race.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Daytona because I know it's going to be a busy weekend for you guys. Heading to Seabest on Friday to meet with the crew there has to be exciting. And then Daytona is just such a cool track. You always find a way to crush it there on the super speedways. How excited are you for this weekend?
I'm really excited. Like you mentioned, going down to Jacksonville and seeing everybody at Seabest. They're such a big part of what we do. Sponsorship in NASCAR is every bit as important as the team members on the crew because that's what allows us to get to the racetrack every weekend. It's not a revenue share sport like all the other sports. So having backing by our sponsors is massive. The other cool thing is the Panthers play in Jacksonville week 1, so I'll get to go down there, hopefully put a little bad energy in the air for the Jags, for week 1. That's the main goal. But and then hopefully leave Daytona with a win, which would put us in the playoffs and be awesome for a year.
Hey, we'll take that too, man. We're pulling for Carolina week 1, not just for you, but because we've got Jacksonville's first round pick from that Travis Hunter trade on draft night. So we're all for you getting down there and putting the bad omens in Jacksonville while maybe winning a race along the way would be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a good deal.
Make sure to go show him some love on social media at Ty Dillon. You could follow along with Colleague Racing as well at Colleague Racing. Ty, best of luck to you this weekend at Daytona International Speedway, and we'll do it again next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Welcome on back into the Big Play Cleveland Show, presented by our friends at FanDuel. On Tuesday, August 26th, it is FanDuel Futures Day, a new holiday for football fans. It's 24 hours of deals on all of your favorite football season predictions. So take a flyer on the MVP race, crown your champion in August, or parlay your division-winning dark horses together. Mark your calendars, because this is your day for your hunches, your hot takes, your calls, and your odds. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game, must be 21 plus and present in select states. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
All right. FanDuel offers a ton of bets this Browns season, and we already picked the over-under on wins last week. So let's go around and make one Browns future bet. Jerry Jeudy over-under 900.5 receiving yards. He was over 1,200 last year. What do you think?
Yeah. His first 1,000-yard season was last season, and I think he follows it up with another over 1,000-yard season. Not only do I think he's going to do it, that's also something I think that has to happen for the Cleveland Browns. I think him and Flacco are going to have to be the connection. I think we're going to have to see a lot of production out of him. Between him and Njoku, they're going to form a lot of the offense that isn't running the ball. So, I'm looking for the over from Jerry Jeudy.
I like the over as well. I think it has to be the over for Jerry Jeudy, and they've got to get that, the yardage on that going early in the season. Week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Just because Joe Flacco's starting the season doesn't mean that he's going to finish the season. Like, we heard Browns ownership say that it's important for them to see both of these rookie quarterbacks get on the field this year. And in a city like Cleveland, we know there's no guarantee. As excited as we are about Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel's there as well. Like, you just don't know. So I'm going to say he could get over 900 yards. That feels like a low bar to clear for a wide receiver 1 on any offense in the Big 2025.
Right. How about this one, though? Browns scoring 1+ touchdown in every regular season game. This is at plus 550.
Chris.
Yeah.
You just need one touchdown in every game, plus 550.
Are you feeling good about it, though?
I like
17
the odds.
games.
I
17
like
games. That's a lot of games.
I like the odds. I don't know that I like the offense, so I'll probably just stay away. But, dude, plus 550, and all you got to do is get in the end. Like, you would think that should be a layup.
That's an all-timer. I like the odds. I don't like the offense. I'm kind of with you on that, especially when we're looking at this quarterback situation. Who knows what we're actually going to see out of Shedeur Sanders? Who knows what we're going to see out of Dylan Gabriel? When those guys get into games in December, I don't know what to expect, so I think I'm going under on that, just thinking we're going to have a couple of stinkers in there.
I mean, this bet could be caked week 2 when you go to Baltimore against the Ravens. I'm staying away.
What about Browns making a field goal in every regular season game plus
Again,
10,000?
have you seen the kicking situation with Dustin Hopkins? I'm staying away from this one, too.
I am, too. No way.
Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year?
Now, this is fascinating. Plus 850, the third best odds on FanDuel, behind Micah Parsons and behind Aiden Hutchinson. Now, I do think Hutchinson's in for a huge year. He's finally going to be healthy for Detroit. But Micah Parsons hasn't even participated much in Dallas's training camp. I get that he's younger, he's fresher. It's hard to go back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year, but plus 850, I do like the odds for Myles Garrett. That's worth a bet.
Yeah, and I guess in the practices with the Eagles, I guess Myles Garrett just really looked good. And he hasn't been going really 100%, of course, being a veteran in a lot of these training camp sessions. But he's looked really good. All reports are good. So I look for him to have a big season, so why not? I'm
Chris.
going to throw some money on him. Defensive Player of the Year.
He had to ask Sirianni and Kevin and those joint practices, do you guys want me to wreck this or what do you want me to do? That's how good he is.
Yeah.
We'll have more Big Play bets brought to you by FanDuel. Thanks for watching Big Play Cleveland, presented by FanDuel. We'll see you next week.